sushi.
You know, it seems like every form of entertainment has their B-grade versions. Literature has its pulp, film has its B-movies, and video games have the simple series. Back in February of 1992, a bunch of guys here in Japan thought, hey, most gamers here are either high school or university students, and they don't have a lot of money, so let's make some cheap-ass games. And hence, D3 Publisher was born. D3 stands for Domain 3, originally because they planned on entering the book and music industry, but instead decided, nah, let's just focus on video games. But they kept the name the same. D3 Publisher, currently a subsidiary of Namco Bandai, publishes cheap games developed by small-time Japanese companies like Tamsoft, Hunix, and Sandlot. They started off releasing titles for the Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 1, but really hit it big following the success of the PlayStation 2. The prices were basically in the title. For the PlayStation 1, they were called the Simple 1500 series because they cost 15,000 yen to buy. The PlayStation 2 had the Simple 2000 series because they cost 2,000 yen. To give you an idea how cheap this was, basically, you could buy 3 Simple 2000 games for the price of a regular one. And kids knew when they bought these games what they were getting. They weren't expecting the next Final Fantasy or Metal Gear Solid, just some cheap fun little games to pass the time. To date, there are close to 200 titles in the Simple 2000 series for the PlayStation 2. Developers started off with party and board games, but soon got creative and released more imaginative, even bizarre titles, and many would never be played outside of Japan. Only a handful of these titles had a European release, licensed under different companies, while only a single game, The Bass Fishing, made it to North America. Why was this? Well, some believe that D3 Publisher felt since their games were so directed at the Japanese market, they wouldn't be very popular overseas. Others speculate that since the average gamer overseas is generally older than those in Japan, they had the money to buy average price games, and so they didn't need these cheapos. Still, some people feel that perhaps the Sony of America and Sony of Europe just had a very strict licensing policy. But politics aside, the Simple 2000 games had a very strong success in Japan, so I'd just like to show you a couple of their more popular titles. First up, we've got Volume 31, Chikyuu Boueigun, which translates as the Earth Defense Force. Developed by Sandlot, a small company founded in 2001 in Tokyo by a few employees from Human Entertainment. Sandlot's still around, though due to their small size of 25 employees, only develop about 1 or 2 games a year. So, let's check it out.
Chikyuu Boueigunです。誘導に従って避難してください。
The year is 2017, and Earth is under attack. The planet is surrounded by UFOs, sending down giant insects and creatures to all the major cities. Civilians in Tokyo, France, New York, all run in a panic before being destroyed by the invasion. But don't worry, the EDF has come to the rescue and stopped this vast world invasion by sending this one guy with a machine gun. Actually, it's not as unrealistic as it sounds. They also gave him a bazooka. Basically, your goal is to run around and shoot everything in sight. Once all the aliens in that level are destroyed, you can move on to the next mission. Along the way, you can collect items left behind by the blown apart monsters, which conveniently show up on your radar as white dots. You've got upgrades for your armor, damage for your weapons, and of course, health packs. Your weapons never change, always the same machine gun and bazooka, although the Earth Defense Force has been gracious enough to leave you with a couple vehicles to aid in your quest. You've got a helicopter with horrible controls like it's running on Windows Vista, an air bike to get from point A to point B a bit faster, and a tank to help blow the fuck out of everything. Personally, I find the vehicles pretty useless since they're all so awkward to move around, especially the helicopter. Oh my god! The moment you hop in, you've just wasted your life. The tank's good for taking down those big beasties, but if you're being bombarded with ants, just leave it alone and use your trusted machine gun. And speaking of controls, wow, are these awkward. The dude moves around like he's gotta take a dump, but has to hold it because he's gotta save the Earth from an alien invasion. Even when he jumps, it's like he's crunching his butt cheeks. You can hit the R1 or L1 to perform a sort of leap dodge thing, which is useful when you're being overwhelmed. But for the most part, there's no real dodging or defending yourself in the game. Just shoot, shoot, shoot before you get killed. Man, try dodging this. Ever run through a rainstorm trying not to get wet? Damn it, get off me! Stop humping me! Ugh, thank God. Aw, damn it! There's no control over the camera, and no control over the crosshairs either. You can twist left and right, but that's it. No up or down with the controls. Instead, you hit square, and the crosshair leaps to an up position. So, rather than targeting, Sandlot decided to apply a weird magnetic hold on the enemies. As long as the crosshair is in the general vicinity of an alien, it'll automatically target it. It makes things a bit easier, but I'd still rather have complete control over the crosshair. Call me selfish, but hey. Just look at this situation here. I want to shoot those ants across the water, but the target keeps aiming at the ground because there's ants in the ravine. Jeez. Then there's times when something important's happening, like a huge ship is exploding and the camera demands you watch it. When that happens, you can't see what the hell you're shooting at. So, I just spin in a circle and fire bullets like a sprinkler. Ugh, there. Sometimes it's not the camera's fault, but there's just so many bodies you can't even see what you're shooting at. Man, all this violence. The aliens range from ones you'd see in typical B-movie inspirations. You've got black ants, red ants, armored black ants, purple UFOs, red UFOs, robotic tripods from War of the Worlds, Godzilla. No, not that one. Yes, that one. A huge queen ant, Mechazilla, and finally, the mothership blasting the crap out of the city. Believe it or not, the Chikyuu Boueigun was quite successful for Sandlot and became their title flagship. They made a sequel in 2004, which became Simple 2000 Volume 81, a PSP version, and the Chikyuu Boueigun 3 for the Xbox 360, which managed to get exported to North America as well as Europe, titled Earth Defense Force 2017. And the EDF soldier even made an appearance in the Simple 2000 Volume 91, the All-Star Kakuto Matsuri, or the All-Star Hand-to-Hand Fighting Festival. Yeah, don't ask. But overall, despite the camera and controls, it's actually a fun little game. One of those pick-up-and-play games which don't require much strategy. After a bad day at the office, it's fun to come home and shoot the crap out of everything. And for a third the price of a regular PS2 game, you can't go wrong.